Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. The elevator doors opened on the 32nd floor. The entrance of Technova Industries had shiny marble. On Monday morning, many employees walked through the lobby. They swiped their badges and hurried to their desks. A man in a charcoal gray suit walked with them. His black shoes made a clicking sound on the floor. His blonde hair shined under the lights as he walked to the IT department. An envelope was at his desk, leaning against his monitor. The company logo was on the cream-colored paper. His stomach felt tight. He had heard rumors about cost-cutting, but management did not share details. His hands shook as he opened the envelope. Starting now, all male employees must join our Revolutionary Workplace Dynamics program. Go to Human Resources to get your new uniform. The paper fell from his hands. Other men read letters like his. Their faces showed disbelief, anger, and then acceptance. Everyone knew the company had money problems for months. Layoffs had removed many workers. The ones left felt lucky to still have jobs. "Did you get one too?" his coworker asked, holding the same envelope. "Yeah," he whispered. "They can't be serious. This must be illegal." "You want to test that theory?" With unemployment at 15%, the walk to Human Resources felt like a death march. Other men from various departments converged on the office, forming a silent procession. Inside, tables lined the walls, stacked with plastic-wrapped packages labeled by employee number. "Paxton Chen, employee 45782. The HR representative's fingers flew across her keyboard. "Here we are. Changing rooms are down the hall. You have 30 minutes to report back to your workstation in appropriate attire." The package weighed almost nothing in his hands. Through the clear plastic, he could see pink fabric, black material, and something that looked suspiciously like pantyhose. His throat constricted. The men's bathroom had been converted into makeshift changing rooms with portable dividers. Behind one of these flimsy walls, Paxton opened the package with shaking hands. A pink blouse tumbled out, followed by a black pencil skirt, nude pantyhose still in their packaging, and a small makeup kit. At the bottom lay a laminated card with instructions. "Welcome to your new role as administrative support staff. Your appearance must meet professional standards at all times. Makeup application is mandatory. Voice modulation training begins tomorrow at 8 a.m. sharp." The cotton blouse felt alien against his skin. The skirt's zipper fought him before finally sliding into place. The pantyhose proved the biggest challenge. He'd never worn anything like them before. After several attempts and a small tear he prayed wouldn't show, he managed to pull them on correctly. The makeup kit contained basic items: foundation, lipstick, mascara, and blush. The instruction card provided a step-by-step guide with tiny illustrations. His first attempt at foundation left streaks across his jaw. The lipstick, a muted rose color, went on crooked. By the time he finished, 25 minutes had passed. The mirror reflected a stranger. The pink blouse clung to his frame in unfamiliar ways. The skirt ended just above his knees, revealing legs encased in sheer nylon. His face looked different. Not quite right, but different. 5 minutes! The HR representative's voice echoed through the bathroom. No time to fix anything. Paxton gathered his male clothes into the provided bag and stepped out from behind the divider. Other men emerged from their own spaces, transformed into approximations of female office workers. Some had applied makeup with more skill than others. A few had given up entirely, their faces bare except for hastily applied lipstick. The walk back to the IT department drew stares from female employees. Some looked sympathetic, others smirked. A few appeared genuinely shocked. Paxton kept his eyes forward, focusing on the sound of unfamiliar shoes against the floor. The heels weren't high, barely an inch, but they changed his entire gait. At his desk, a new nameplate had already been installed. Sophia Chen, administrative assistant. His computer login had been changed to match. The stack of technical manuals and programming guides had vanished, replaced by a telephone headset and a guide to proper phone etiquette. "Sophia?" The department manager appeared at his shoulder. I need these reports typed up and distributed before lunch, and we're expecting a call from the Singapore office at 10. Make sure you're prepared to take notes. The morning blurred into a series of humiliations. The phone rang constantly. Each time he had to answer with the prescribed greeting. Technova Industries, Sophia speaking. How may I direct your call? His natural voice cracked on the first few attempts. Too low, too masculine. The callers always paused, confused by the disconnect. Typing proved another challenge. The fake nails included in his transformation kit clicked against the keys, slowing his usual speed to a crawl. Documents that should have taken minutes stretched into half-hour ordeals. His supervisor's patience wore thin. Sophia, this is unacceptable. The Henderson report was due an hour ago. I'm sorry, I'm still adjusting to... No excuses. We need efficiency, not explanations. That's the whole point of this program. Lunch offered no respite. The cafeteria divided along new lines. The transformed male employees clustered at separate tables, picking at salads and sandwiches. Paxton's usual group of programmers sat across the room, discussing a server migration he should have been leading. Now someone else handled his projects while he scheduled meetings and answered phones. This is insane, the whisper came from his left. Another victim of the program pushed lettuce around a plastic container. They can't keep us like this. You see any options? It's this or the unemployment line. There has to be a lawsuit in this somewhere. Gender discrimination, hostile work environment, something. With what lawyer? You got attorney money? Because I've got rent and student loans. The afternoon brought voice training. A consultant had been hired specifically for the program, a severe woman in a navy suit who commanded the conference room like a drill sergeant. 20 transformed employees sat in uncomfortable chairs, practicing pitch and inflection. Higher, softer. You're not trying to sound like a cartoon character, but you need to eliminate the masculine markers. Again. Hello, my name is Sophia. The words felt strange in his mouth. Each repetition brought slight improvement, but the voice that emerged wasn't his. It belonged to this new person he was being forced to become. Better. Practice at home tonight. I want to hear marked improvement by tomorrow's session. Home offered no sanctuary. The commute exposed him to a new kind of visibility. On the subway, men's eyes lingered on his legs. An older woman offered unsolicited advice about his poorly applied makeup. A teenager snickered at his awkward heel-wearing technique until his mother slapped his arm. The apartment building's doorman did a double-take. Rough day at work, Mr. Chen? It's Ms. Chen now. Company policy. The doorman's confusion mirrored Paxton's own feelings as he climbed the stairs to his third-floor unit. Inside, he kicked off the heels immediately. His feet screamed in relief. The pantyhose followed, peeled off and thrown in the general direction of the laundry basket. But the skirt and blouse remained. The employee handbook had been crystal clear. The transformation was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even at home, the feminine presentation must be maintained. He ordered takeout rather than venture out again. The delivery driver barely concealed his surprise when Paxton answered the door, still dressed in office attire, makeup smudged but present. Thanks. The practiced feminine voice slipped out automatically. 6 hours of training had already created new patterns. The evenings stretched endlessly. Television provided no distraction. Every show seemed to highlight the divide between his morning reality and evening prison. He attempted to review some coding projects on his personal laptop, but found concentration impossible. The pink blouse's collar rubbed against his neck. The skirt bunched when he sat cross-legged on the couch. Every movement reminded him of the transformation. His phone buzzed with messages from friends outside the company. Word had already spread through industry networks. Technova's radical experiment had become water-cooler gossip across the tech sector. Some expressed sympathy. Others made jokes he didn't find funny. A few seemed genuinely curious about the experience in ways that made him uncomfortable. Sleep came fitfully. The mandate required sleeping in appropriate nightwear, which translated to a cotton nightgown included in the transformation package. It tangled around his legs as he tossed and turned, chasing rest that wouldn't come. Tuesday arrived too soon. The morning routine now included 45 minutes of makeup application. The instruction card hadn't lied. Practice was essential. His second attempt at foundation went smoother. The lipstick stayed within the natural lip line. Mascara still proved challenging, but he managed to coat his lashes without poking his eye. The pink blouse from yesterday had been replaced with a cream-colored one, paired with the same black skirt. The company apparently believed in variety, at least for tops. The pantyhose came from a multi-pack, identical nude shade for every day. Better. His supervisor nodded approval at his appearance. "You're learning. Keep this up and we might actually see some productivity gains." The phone felt more natural in his hand. Technova Industries. Sophia speaking. The words flowed without conscious thought. Callers no longer paused in confusion. His voice had found a comfortable range, not artificially high, but distinctly feminine. Wednesday brought a new challenge. The Singapore office scheduled a video conference, and Paxton, now Sophia, was required to take notes. Seeing his transformed reflection in the camera preview sent a fresh wave of dysphoria through his system. The woman on screen bore only passing resemblance to his former self. Blonde hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, makeup applied with increasing skill. The lavender blouse complemented his complexion in ways he didn't want to acknowledge. "Sophia, we need copies of these distributed to the development team." Papers landed on his desk with increasing frequency. Tasks that junior employees should have handled became his responsibility. The administrative work itself wasn't difficult. He'd performed similar duties as an intern years ago. But the context made every collation, every phone transfer, every coffee run feel like another nail in the coffin of his former identity. Thursday's voice training showed marked improvement across the group. The consultant actually smiled, a rare occurrence. "You're adapting faster than expected. By next week, we'll move on to conversation patterns and social dynamics." "Social dynamics?" someone asked. "Speech patterns differ between genders, word choice, sentence structure, even the topics you discuss. To make this transformation complete, you need to internalize these differences." The room fell silent. Complete transformation. The temporary 6-month program suddenly felt more permanent. Friday culminated in an all-hands meeting. The CEO himself addressed the gathered employees, his satisfaction evident. The Revolutionary Workplace Dynamics program has exceeded all projections. Productivity is up 15%. Client satisfaction scores have reached record highs. Our administrative efficiency has improved dramatically. Graphs and charts supported his claims. The transformed employees had indeed boosted the company's performance. Their former technical roles had been distributed among the remaining male staff, who worked harder to avoid similar fates. The new administrative assistants handled support tasks with desperate efficiency, knowing their continued employment depended on acceptance of their new roles. Based on these results, the board has decided to extend the program indefinitely. Participants will continue in their current positions with appropriate compensation adjustments. Compensation adjustments. Paxton's salary had already been cut to match typical administrative pay. The financial trap tightened further. The weekend offered no relief. Company policy mandated maintaining feminine presentation even outside work hours. Grocery shopping became an exercise in anxiety. The clerk at his regular coffee shop didn't recognize him. Former neighbors passed without acknowledgement, seeing only another young woman in a floral sundress and white sandals. His closet had been transformed by mandatory clothing deliveries. Male clothing was strictly prohibited. Skirts, blouses, dresses, and accessories filled the space where suits and ties once hung, each piece carefully selected to maintain professional appearance while reinforcing the new identity. Week 2 brought subtle changes. The morning makeup routine became automatic. Foundation, concealer, powder, blush, lipstick applied without checking the mirror. The heels, gradually increasing in height as per program requirements, felt less foreign. His walk had adapted, hips shifting to maintain balance. "Sophia, you look lovely today." The compliment came from a female coworker. "That teal blouse really brings out your eyes." "Thank you." The response came naturally, pitched in the feminine register that no longer required conscious effort. Small talk at the coffee machine shifted. Instead of discussing server architecture or coding challenges, conversations centered on clothing, makeup tips, and weekend plans. The other women had begun accepting the transformed employees as part of their social sphere. Invitations to lunch replaced the isolation of the first week, but acceptance came with expectations. When Sophia declined drinks after work, citing fatigue, eyebrows raised. "Come on, it'll be fun. We're going to that new wine bar on Fifth Avenue." The wine bar's atmosphere assaulted his senses. Crowded, loud, filled with young professionals decompressing from the work week. The group commandeered a corner table, ordering bottles of rosé that appeared without anyone seeming to request them. "So, Sophia?" A woman from accounting leaned close. "Anyone special in your life?" The question hung between them. How to answer? The truth, that he'd been too focused on career advancement to date seriously, seemed to belong to another person. But Sophia had no history, no past relationships to reference. Not at the moment, still settling into the new position. "Well, when you're ready, I know someone perfect for you. He works at my gym, totally your type." Your type. As if Sophia had preferences, attractions, a fully formed romantic identity. The conversation spiraled into relationship advice and dating horror stories. Paxton sat trapped in Sophia's body, nodding at appropriate moments while his mind reeled. Week 3 introduced advanced voice training. Beyond pitch and tone, the consultant focused on linguistic patterns. Women tend to use more collaborative language. Instead of "I think we should," try "what if we." Soften commands into suggestions. Build consensus rather than dictate. The changes felt insidious, not just how he spoke, but what he said. Technical assessments became gentle suggestions. Direct communication evolved into circular conversations. His emails grew longer, filled with qualifiers and relationship-building pleasantries. "Much better, Sophia." His supervisor's approval had become a daily drug. "You're really embracing the program's goals." Embracing seemed too strong. Surviving fit better. But survival meant adaptation, and adaptation meant gradual acceptance of each new feminine requirement. The dress code evolved weekly. Skirts grew shorter within professional limits. Heels grew higher. Jewelry became mandatory. Simple pieces at first, then gradually more elaborate. His reflection told the story. The bathroom mirror at work showed a polished professional woman. Blonde hair had grown past his shoulders, styled each morning with hot tools he'd never imagined owning. The makeup skills that had seemed impossible now rivaled any of his female colleagues. The coral blouse tucked into a navy pencil skirt looked natural, appropriate, correct. Month 2 arrived with new challenges. The company introduced social integration exercises. Transformed employees were required to attend specific events designed to reinforce their new identities. Cooking classes replaced the coding workshops. Book clubs focused on contemporary women's fiction instead of technical manuals. Yoga sessions became mandatory, replacing the gym access that had allowed for weightlifting and cardio. "This is about complete integration," the HR representative explained to the gathered group. "Your success depends on fully inhabiting your new role." The cooking class proved particularly jarring. 20 former IT professionals stood at kitchen stations, learning to julienne vegetables and fold napkins into decorative shapes. The instructor, blissfully unaware of their histories, treated them like any other group of young women seeking domestic skills. "Sophia, your knife work is excellent. Have you considered culinary school?" "No, I'm focused on my administrative career." The lie came easily now. Sophia had a career, goals, a future separate from Paxton's abandoned dreams. The book club selected contemporary romance novels. Sitting in a circle, discussing meet-cutes and relationship dynamics, Paxton felt his former self slipping further away. The other women, both original and transformed, debated character motivations with genuine engagement. He found himself contributing, offering insights into the male protagonist's behavior that drew knowing nods. "You really understand how men think," someone observed. If only they knew. Month 3 brought the first permanent changes. The company offered appearance enhancement packages to high-performing administrative staff. The procedures were optional but heavily encouraged. Laser hair removal headed the list, followed by subtle cosmetic adjustments. "It's completely voluntary," HR insisted, but participants report increased confidence and job satisfaction. Voluntary like the program itself. Voluntary like maintaining employment in a collapsed economy. Sophia scheduled the laser treatments, watching body hair disappear in sessions that felt like erasure of her former self. Each zap of the laser removed another trace of Paxton. The social integration expanded beyond work hours. Company-sponsored shopping trips became monthly events. Groups of administrative assistants descended on department stores, trying on clothes and sharing opinions. Sophia learned to navigate sales racks and dressing rooms with practiced ease. "This would look amazing on you." A colleague held up a red dress, its cut both professional and subtly feminine. "Try it on." In the dressing room mirror, Sophia saw a woman who belonged in that dress. The color complemented her skin tone. The fit emphasized a figure that had softened through months of restricted exercise and careful diet. She bought it without hesitation, adding to a wardrobe that had completely replaced Paxton's clothes. The voice had settled into permanence. Even alone in her apartment, Sophia spoke in the higher register. Phone calls to family required no conscious modulation. Her mother had stopped asking when this phase would end, accepting that her son had become her daughter through corporate mandate. Month 4 introduced romantic expectations. The company began organizing mixer events, inviting male professionals from other firms. The purpose was transparent: normalize the transformed employee's social presentation by encouraging dating. "Remember, you represent Technova at all times." The reminder came with each invitation. Professional behavior is expected. The first mixer took place at an upscale hotel bar. Sophia wore the red dress paired with black heels that no longer caused discomfort. Her makeup, now applied with professional skill, suited the evening lighting. She looked like any other young professional woman seeking connection. "Hi, I'm Marcus." The man appeared at her elbow, offering a martini she hadn't ordered. "I work at the consulting firm across the street. Haven't seen you at these events before." Small talk had become Sophia's specialty. She discussed her administrative role without mentioning its origins. Marcus showed polite interest, asking follow-up questions that required creative responses. The conversation flowed naturally until he suggested dinner the following week. "I'm flattered, but I'm focusing on my career right now." The rejection came with practiced grace, soft enough to avoid offense, while firm enough to prevent pursuit. But Marcus represented only the first of many. The mixers continued monthly, each bringing new men who saw Sophia as she appeared, an attractive administrative assistant potentially interested in dating. Some accepted rejection gracefully. Others persisted, requiring firmer boundaries. One persistent suitor appeared at her office, flowers in hand. "I thought you might reconsider over lunch." "That's very sweet, but no thank you." Sophia's smile never wavered, even as discomfort crawled up her spine. The receptionist watched with interest, already crafting gossip for the break room. The flowers went in the break room vase, but the damage was done. Coworkers assumed Sophia had a secret admirer. Speculation about her dating life became regular conversation. The complete feminine presentation now included presumed romantic availability. Month 5 brought performance reviews. Sophia sat across from her supervisor, wearing a cream blouse and charcoal skirt that had become her preferred Wednesday outfit. The review itself glowed with praise. "You've exceeded every metric: client satisfaction, efficiency, team integration. You're exactly what this program aimed to create." "Thank you." The words tasted bitter despite the sweet delivery. "There is one area for improvement. Your social integration scores lag behind your professional metrics. The company values well-rounded employees. Perhaps reconsidering your stance on the networking mixers?" The message was clear. Complete transformation meant complete participation. Professional success required personal surrender. The next mixer found Sophia more receptive to conversation. She accepted dinner invitations she didn't want, sitting through meals where men talked about themselves while she nodded and smiled. The dates followed predictable patterns, expensive restaurants, obvious expectations, careful extractions when the evening ended. "You're so different from other girls," became a recurring theme. They had no idea how true that was. Her apartment had transformed completely. The functional bachelor pad had given way to feminine touches accumulated through months of social pressure. Throw pillows adorned the couch. Scented candles lined the bathroom. The closet overflowed with clothes for every occasion. Workwear, casual dresses, evening attire, each piece purchased during shopping trips that had shifted from obligation to habit. The mirror told the complete story. Sophia examined her reflection while preparing for another day at the office. The pink blouse, similar to that first traumatic day but worn now with unconscious grace, fit perfectly. The black skirt fell at the appropriate length. Nude pantyhose had become as routine as breathing. Her blonde hair, now genuinely long rather than artificially extended, fell in waves she'd learned to style through countless tutorials. The makeup required no thought. Foundation evened her skin tone. Subtle contouring enhanced features that had softened through months of transformation. Eye makeup in neutral tones made her eyes appear larger, more feminine. Lipstick in rose completed the look. Professional, attractive, appropriate. Technova Industries, Sophia speaking. "How may I direct your call?" The greeting had been repeated thousands of times. Her voice never wavered from its feminine register. Callers heard exactly what they expected, a pleasant female assistant ready to help. The technical knowledge remained locked away. Sometimes, listening to developers discuss problems she could solve, the urge to contribute arose. But Sophia wasn't paid to solve coding issues. She scheduled meetings, managed calendars, ordered supplies, and maintained the smooth operation that allowed others to do the work Paxton once loved. Lunch with the other administrative assistants had become routine. They discussed weekend plans, shared dating stories, compared notes on sales at various stores. Sophia contributed naturally to conversations that would have been alien 6 months ago. The transformed employees had integrated so completely that new hires couldn't distinguish them from those born to these roles. "Are you coming to Rachel's birthday drinks?" The invitation came from a woman who'd started after the transformation program. She saw Sophia as a peer, a friend, another young woman navigating office life. Of course, wouldn't miss it. The afternoon passed in familiar rhythm. Phone calls routed, documents typed, schedules coordinated. Her supervisor stopped by with additional tasks, each accepted with the pleasant demeanor expected of her role. The technical challenges that once engaged her mind had been replaced by social navigation and administrative efficiency. 5 o'clock arrived with its usual relief. Sophia gathered her purse, the leather bag had replaced Paxton's laptop case months ago, and touched up her lipstick in the bathroom mirror. Evening plans included the birthday drinks, another social obligation that reinforced her new identity. The wine bar buzzed with Friday evening energy. Rachel's group had claimed a large table, bottles of Prosecco already flowing. Sophia settled into her seat, accepting a glass while complimenting Rachel's new haircut. The conversation flowed around familiar topics: work gossip, relationship updates, plans for the weekend. "Sophia, that guy at the bar keeps looking at you." Rachel nudged her arm, indicating a well-dressed man nursing a whiskey. "He's cute." The man was objectively attractive. Tall, professional, with the confident bearing of someone successful in their field. 6 months ago, Paxton wouldn't have noticed. Now, Sophia cataloged the details automatically. The quality of his suit, the expensive watch, the way he held himself. "Not interested." The response came with practiced ease. Dating had become a minefield she navigated carefully, maintaining enough participation to satisfy social expectations while avoiding actual entanglement. But the evening wore on, inhibitions lowered by Prosecco and peer pressure. When the man finally approached, introduced himself as David from the financial sector, Sophia found herself engaging rather than deflecting. His conversation proved more interesting than most. He asked actual questions, listened to answers, showed genuine curiosity about her thoughts rather than just her appearance. "Would you like to get dinner sometime? Somewhere quieter than this?" His invitation came with refreshing directness. Sophia hesitated. 6 months of transformation had created this moment. A successful professional man interested in an attractive administrative assistant. The life Paxton had been forced to abandon led directly to this crossroads. Accept the invitation and step further into Sophia's existence. Decline and face continued pressure to integrate fully. "That sounds nice." The words emerged before conscious decision. David's smile widened as they exchanged numbers. The date was scheduled for the following Tuesday. Sophia spent the weekend in familiar routines: errands, shopping, maintaining the feminine presentation that had become second nature. Her closet offered numerous options for a nice dinner. She selected a navy dress that walked the line between professional and date-worthy. Tuesday evening arrived too quickly. The restaurant David chose spoke of sophisticated taste and financial comfort. He stood when she arrived, pulling out her chair with old-fashioned courtesy. The gesture felt simultaneously foreign and natural. Foreign to Paxton's experience, natural to Sophia's presentation. Conversation flowed easier than expected. David worked in investment banking but avoided the typical financial sector arrogance. He asked about her work without condescension, showing interest in the administrative challenges she described. When she mentioned optimizing the office scheduling system, his eyes lit up with genuine appreciation for efficiency. "You clearly have a talent for systems thinking. Have you considered moving into project management?" The question stung. Paxton had been a project manager, leading technical teams through complex implementations. But Sophia was an administrative assistant, and career advancement meant senior administrative roles, not a return to technical leadership. "I'm happy where I am for now." The lie came smoothly, practiced through months of similar deflections. Dinner progressed through multiple courses. David proved an engaging conversationalist, well-traveled and widely read. He made her laugh with stories of client mishaps and cultural misunderstandings during international deals. For moments, Sophia forgot the strange path that led to this table. "I'd like to see you again," David said as they waited for the valet. "If you're interested." Was she interested? The question had no simple answer. Sophia nodded, accepting a second date she wasn't sure she wanted but couldn't refuse without raising questions. The kiss on her cheek felt appropriate to the evening, to the role she'd been cast in. The second date led to a third. David proved consistently charming, respectful, genuinely interested in building something real. He sent flowers to her office, thoughtful arrangements that showed attention to her mentioned preferences. He remembered details from conversations, following up on stories she'd shared. The fourth date ended at his apartment. The progression felt inevitable, scripted by social expectations and months of feminine conditioning. Sophia stood in his living room, admiring the view while wrestling with decisions that shouldn't have been necessary. "We don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with." David's hands rested gently on her shoulders. "I'm in no rush." But comfort had become relative. Every day required acts that would have been unthinkable 6 months ago. This was just another performance, another requirement of the role she'd been forced to play. When he kissed her properly for the first time, Sophia responded as expected. The relationship progressed through acceptable stages: public appearances as a couple, integration into each other's social circles. David's friends accepted her easily, another young professional woman dating within their sphere. Her co-workers celebrated the development, viewing it as final proof of successful integration. "He's perfect for you," they gushed over Monday lunch. "You two look so good together." Month 6 arrived with its supposed freedom. The original program timeline had promised return to normal roles after successful completion, but the morning email crushed that hope with corporate efficiency. Due to the overwhelming success of the Revolutionary Workplace Dynamics program, all participants will continue in their current roles indefinitely. Compensation has been adjusted to reflect permanent position changes. We thank you for your contribution to Technova's continued success. Permanent. The word echoed through Sophia's mind as she sat at her desk, wearing a rose-colored blouse and gray pencil skirt that had become her standard Monday outfit. Around her, other transformed employees absorbed the news with varying degrees of visible distress, but none protested aloud. 6 months had trained them too well. Sophia, I need the Henderson files updated before noon. Her supervisor's request interrupted her spiral. Work continued despite internal crisis. Files needed updating, calls required answering, schedules demanded coordination. The administrative machine couldn't pause for existential despair. David noticed her mood that evening. They'd planned dinner at her apartment, a domestic milestone she'd been dreading. He arrived with groceries, intent on cooking together. The gesture was sweet, considerate, exactly what a good boyfriend should do. Rough day? He kissed her temple while unpacking vegetables. Want to talk about it? How could she explain that his girlfriend existed only through corporate mandate? That the woman he'd been dating was a construct, forced into existence by economic desperation? The truth would destroy everything, but the lie had become too heavy to carry. Just work stuff, the usual. They cooked together, moving around her feminized kitchen with practiced ease. David had learned her apartment's layout through increasing visits. He knew where she kept the wine glasses, how she organized her spices, the particular way she liked her pasta cooked. These intimate details of Sophia's life had accumulated naturally, replacing any trace of Paxton's preferences. I've been thinking, David said over dinner. My lease is up in 2 months. How would you feel about looking for a place together? The wine glass trembled in Sophia's hand. Living together represented another level of permanence, another step away from any hope of reclaiming her former life. But what alternative existed? End the relationship and face questions she couldn't answer? Continue living alone in an apartment that no longer felt like home? Can I think about it? Of course, no pressure. I just see a future with you, and I wanted you to know that. A future? David saw a future with Sophia, not knowing Paxton had ever existed. That future stretched ahead, predictable in its trajectory, moving in together, eventual engagement, marriage to solidify the transformation completely. Children, perhaps, raised by a mother who'd been forced into existence by corporate policy. The evening ended with familiar intimacy. David stayed the night, as had become routine. Lying beside him in the darkness, Sophia stared at the ceiling and tried to remember Paxton's dreams. They felt distant, belonging to someone else entirely. The coding boot camp certificates hidden in a drawer might as well have been artifacts from another civilization. Morning brought its usual routine. Shower, moisturize, style hair that had grown past shoulder length. The makeup process required no mirror until final touches. Muscle memory guided foundation application, eyeshadow blending, lip color selection. The lavender blouse and black skirt practically jumped from the closet. Pantyhose rolled on without thought. You look beautiful. David kissed her goodbye at the door. Dinner tomorrow? Of course. The commute passed in feminine anonymity. Just another young professional woman heading to the office. The subway riders who'd stared during those first awkward weeks now paid no attention. Sophia had learned to sit properly in a skirt, to navigate crowds in heels, to project the quiet confidence expected of her presentation. Technova's lobby buzzed with typical Tuesday energy. The security guard nodded recognition as she swiped through. The elevator carried her to the familiar floor where she'd once worked as a programmer. Now she scheduled meetings for the technical team that had absorbed Paxton's responsibilities. Good morning, Sophia. The greeting came from every direction. She responded automatically, voice pitched perfectly, smile arranged pleasantly. The mask had fused to her face through months of practice. Her desk displayed the accumulated personalizations of office life, a photo of her and David at a company event, a small succulent gifted by a coworker, the motivational calendar featuring inspirational quotes over sunset photos. Each item reinforced Sophia's existence while erasing Paxton's ghost. Technova Industries, Sophia speaking, "How may I direct your call?" The script never changed, neither did the response. Professional, efficient, feminine, everything the program had designed her to be. The calls blurred together, clients, vendors, internal transfers. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, scheduling and rescheduling the important work others performed. Lunch brought its usual social requirements. The administrative assistants had claimed their regular table in the cafeteria. Conversation centered on weekend plans, relationship updates, the new restaurant opening downtown. Sophia contributed appropriately, mentioning David's cooking skills and their potential apartment hunt. Living together is such a big step. Her coworkers' excitement felt genuine. But you two are perfect for each other. Perfect. The word stung with its implications. Perfect meant permanent. Perfect meant accepting this life completely. Perfect meant Paxton's dreams dissolving entirely into Sophia's reality. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.